is Rachel and I'm here today to do the first in my Feminist Recommendations series. So if you've been watching my channel, you will know that I did some mental health recommendations videos and talked about how I wanted to do some for LGBT+ and feminism. And so yes, this is the first in the feminism one. This is going to be going up during Feminist Lit Feb, which is very exciting and a good time. So yes, I'm going to get straight into some feminist recommendations. I recommend 5 books in these videos, just because any more than that I would be talking for a very long time. The video would be very long, and no one wants a video that long. So yes, I am going to refer to some classics as having feminist characters, but as feminism doesn't exist, people can't identify themselves as feminist in these texts. It's hard to necessarily pin those things as feminist. So I'm going to just precurse this video by saying that. But yeah, I'm going to refer to them as feminist because I think they are. I think they represent really good feminist characters. So yeah, that's a quick disclaimer. But let's get straight into it. The first book I want to mention is a historical fiction, and it is Frenchmans Creek by Daphne du Maurier. This book was published in 1941, but the story is actually set during Charles II's reign, and it is set in the sort of Cornish area of England. Now, in this book, we follow Donna, who is disenfranchised with London society and doesn't really like her husband, and decides to leave with the kids to go to Cornwall and stay at one of her husband's estates, I think it is, and yeah, just stay there, kind of get away from him and the whole society basically. When she's there, she meets a male pirate, and it sort of goes from there. She dresses as a male to sort of work on the ship with them at one point, and I just think she is a very, very strong character, female character, and well, just strong character in general, let alone a strong female character. She is amazing. The fact that she just ups and leaves her husband when she's not happy, that is something that is just not expected in this time, and it's cool that she did that. And also just the cross-dressing, the working on a pirate ship is very different to what we would normally expect of women at this time, and the fact that she goes against so many of these female stereotypes and expectations makes her an amazing feminist character in my eyes. My second recommendation is Orange is the New Black, My Time in a Women's Prison by Piper Kerman. You have probably heard of this because of Orange is the New Black, the TV show, which is great. But the memoir is also amazing, very different from the show, but I would highly recommend it. This memoir was published in 2010 and follows, basically Piper was smuggling drugs with a girlfriend at one point in her life, very early 20s, and stops this. Years and years and years later, she is engaged, I think, to marry a man, and then these charges are basically brought up. I think she is named in a court case, and so yeah, she is sentenced, and then a lot of time passes, and then she is finally actually put in prison for around a year. I think it's a bit longer than a year. The thing that I liked about this book is how much she talks about women. She talks about women committing crimes and like statistics about that. She talks about police treatment of women in this correctional facility. There are people who are very nice. There are also people who are very horrible, who say very derogatory things to Piper during her time in the prison. Before she goes to prison, she goes to see her lawyer. I think it's every week or every month. She has to go and like check in and talk to them, a parole officer, something along those lines. And she talks about how when she is in the waiting room, she is never in that waiting room with a white woman, or there's like 1 in 10 white women in that room, how it is much more likely that a woman of black origin or Latina or any of those sorts of things. She talks about the prison population that she's in and how that tends to be made up of black people and Latina, and how that is due to education. Those women are not being fully serviced by our society, and how that is why they end up more likely to be in these correctional facilities. And it was just very interesting to kind of have it was just like interspersed throughout without being like in your face. It was just a little bit about it, and I found that very, very interesting. The third one I want to mention is a little bit controversial, and yeah, it is Ghosts at a Watchmen by Harper Lee. Now, this was published in 2015, I think, yeah, and this is basically a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now, I will say, I need to reread To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I probably read it in 2015 or 2016 for the first time. I had not read it before. And I had a lot of pressure from my mum and my girlfriend to read it and saying how great it was. And whenever people do that, I kind of go against their recommendation a little bit. I do think I would have enjoyed it more and rated it a bit higher if I hadn't have had that going on at the time. But having said that, I enjoyed Ghosts at a Watchman more than I enjoyed To Kill a Mockingbird. The themes were much more up my alley in terms of like feminism. We see Scout go back to Maycomb. She has been living in New York and she is now like a fully grown woman, and we see her move back to Maycomb, and it's basically about her interacting with that society again, seeing how much they haven't really moved on. I did do a review for this book, which I will link down below, but I just adored it. He just shows Scout developing into a person, and I just found that fantastic. We have her dealings with suitors and their expectations of marriage. We have her dealing with the sort of role models she's had in her life and having to overcome those role models to try and become better and a better person. Because yeah, you should aspire to be like people, but at the same time, you know, you need to go above and beyond that to become your own person, and that's what this book really, really focuses on and deals with. The very controversial thing is that I love the story around Atticus and the sort of humanising of this whole situation, and I love the end. I really enjoyed that book. I really want to reread it, and I know a lot of people hated it. I think it's because I didn't have the gap between To Kill a Mockingbird and Ghosts at a Watchman. I don't have this special place in my heart for To Kill a Mockingbird from my childhood. Like, I read them about 3 months after each other, and it was just normal reading for me. So I think that's why I don't have this overwhelming, like, this cannot be touched by a new book. It's ruining my story. It's ruining my childhood memories, and I don't really have that, and I think that might be why. But yes, I really enjoyed Ghosts at a Watchman, and I would highly recommend it. The next one we have is a non-fiction, and it is Girl Up by Laura Bates. This was published in 2016, and Laura Bates is sort of the founder of the Everyday Sexism Project, which works to sort of give a voice to women who have suffered sexism in any way, shape or form. I think men can go on that site as well, and sexism they have suffered can be published on there. Now, I think this book is fantastic for young girls. One of the things that annoyed me the most about it was that I found it in a feminist theory section, and it says feminist theory on the back. I would more count it as just education, and I think it should be in a young adult section for girls. It teaches girls about the way they look, about accepting themselves, about if you want to be different, about if you fancy different people, all those sorts of things. She has pictures of herself in a bikini and then a Photoshop picture of her in a bikini to kind of show like what Photoshop is and what you're seeing when you look at magazines and all those sorts of things, which if I had read that as a teenager would have made a world of difference in my life. Like, I have such low self-esteem, and it all draws back to media and things like that, and to have a book that would have really targeted that in my head and explained why this is not representative of real women, it would have really made a difference to me. And so it is a fantastic work of feminism, and I really think it should be more well spread for teenage girls, definitely. And then my last recommendation is Farfan, Mad and Crowd by Thomas Hardy. Again, this suffers from the applying the term feminism to texts that were published when feminism wasn't around yet. However, for me, I am going to use Bathsheba as a feminist heroine because to me she is one. Now, this book was published in 1874, and we follow Bathsheba, who is just... she is one kick-ass heroine. She is amazing because she is such a strong female character, which obviously is important and we need, but she is also very flawed. She makes the wrong decisions, she chooses the wrong things, she isn't always nice, but I think her presentation and the way that she is flawed but so strong and has so much agency means that she is such a fantastic representation of a woman, and I adored that. I think Thomas Hardy is perfect at creating women. One of my favourite scenes in the book is when she has just got to this farm. She inherits a farm from her uncle and moves to a new place and runs this farm herself without having a husband to run it with her or selling it to a man, which was expected, and that is awesome. She gives a speech to obviously the male farmhands and says, like, I know that you're gonna not respect me because I'm a woman, but I'm gonna be in the field earlier than you. I'm gonna be up before you. I'm gonna like work harder than you. And I just, she's just such like a go-getter. I love her. And the other thing that I really loved is the way that Thomas Hardy plays with gender in that book. He has the group of men that work on the farm sit around and gossip and bitch like women are stereotypically expected to do. They are the ones doing that. I just love the way he plays with gender, with having the males be the ones who are doing that, because obviously that does happen anyway. And yeah, it's a fantastic book. I would highly recommend it. Yeah, they are my first 5 feminist recommendations. I will be making another video like this soon, so watch out for it. And I hope if you are taking part in Feminist Lit Feb that you are enjoying it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!